What is your perception of love? Do you believe in the fairy tale? Do you believe true love can exist? Do you believe in the one? Do you believe that there is one perfect match for everyone? Or do you feel that we have to settle? That we need to pick somebody who's secure and stable, that will provide for us, that will protect us, that looks good on paper? My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach and I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse. I think we've forgotten what true love is. We've forgotten that unconditional love can exist. Our model of love for generations has been based on settling, security, what our parents want, what society wants. We tend to choose somebody who our parents will approve of, our friends will approve of, rather than choosing something from our heart. We end up settling for somebody who's not our match, wanting to fit them into our box, hoping that somehow we can mold them into what we want. And I've seen this so many times with relationships. You know, we have this idea that true love doesn't exist, that marriage is about security. Marriage is about picking somebody who can provide for you. Marriage is about somebody who's picking somebody who might be a good parent. But I've seen more often than not that people pick the wrong partner and then they try and mold that person into what they want in a partner. This isn't fair. This is not your person. Like, you shouldn't change somebody anyway, but you shouldn't have to change somebody so completely to fit into your world, to fit into your idea of love. And that's the thing. What is your idea of love? Is it your idea of love? Or is it an inherited belief on love? What do you actually believe? Are you going after somebody in hopes that you'll be happy or that they will fit into that box that we have deemed to be love? You know, we have this idea. We have an idea of what we want. We've been told what we want. From a young age, our parents are telling us, you have to marry this, you have to marry rich, you have to marry the farmer down the road, you have to marry a doctor, you have to marry somebody who will be able to provide for you. And this was the way back in the day because women weren't allowed to work. And women who did work were forced to give up their jobs when they got married so they could provide for their fucking husband. But things are more equal now. You know, love should be based on equality. You know, not us seeking for a protector, a provider. And that was the thing as well. Us women chose older men because we were told we needed to be provided for or protected. We replaced, you know, we chose a man who looked like our father. And the same thing with men. Men chose a woman to replace their mother. This is what has happened for generations. So they're choosing somebody who looks good on paper, who looks like they'd be a good husband or wife. And obviously we're choosing a good husband or wife, but what is that? For generations, it's been a woman was the fuck pig who did all the cooking and cleaning. And that was the instability that was what men chose. And that's the thing as well. You can't be a whore and a wife. What I mean by that is you can't be a sexual being and a provider. So therefore the men chose someone to replace the mother. And the man chose someone to replace the father, somebody to protect, provide, to be secure. And this is, times have changed, but what I noticed, especially growing up, was a lot of the time people chose based on what looked good on paper, what looked good for their parents, or they chose wrong and tried to mold that person into what looked good on paper. And that's the thing. I saw so many resentful relationships because people were settling, trying to change each other into their little world or their bubble, and then that led to resentment. You're trying to force somebody into the mold that you're creating, but it's not the mold of love. And that's the thing, people were getting married too young because of history, because of generations before. You know, like, I know my granny got married at 18, like, you know, that's way too young to be getting married. And I'm sure there was women and getting married younger, because obviously the men were older. But were they ever in love? Or were they choosing a person that looked good on paper? And this is what we're still doing. We're going on these dating sites, and I don't do dating sites, but I see this with other people. They're going on dating sites, they're meeting these people, they're trying to fit them into their box, trying to fit them into their mold, and it's not working. And this happened for me as well. I was in 2 toxic relationships in my 20s, and because of this inherited belief that I needed somebody to love me, I needed to be protected, I needed to seek outside myself for that love, because of my wounded inner child, I was so desperate for love, so desperate for that happy ever after, that when I was in these toxic relationships, when I was unhappy, I didn't listen to it, because I was like, you have to stay here, because this is all there is. If you leave this relationship, no one's ever going to love you again. So that's why we're afraid to be single. We're afraid to be on our own, because we're like, if we're not doing this before we're 30, we're doing it wrong, because of the lies society has told us. So we settle. We end up attracting in somebody who's not our match, and we end up trying to fit them into our world. We try to fit into their world. It doesn't work, and it's settling. It's not real love. It's superficial love. But there's such a thing as divine love. Your divine counterpart, that true love, that fairy tale, that happy ever after. I believe there's a perfect match for everyone. A true match. You know, a match where you both come together in interdependence. You both come together in equality. And you both help each other grow into the best versions of yourselves, but not change each other. And that's what true love is. Being in a relationship where you don't have to change to fit into that person's world, or that you don't change that person to fit into your world. This idea we've had of love, and like, you know, for myself anyway, or for anyone who's had a traumatic childhood who didn't grow up with a good model of love, we end up thinking that's what love is. So we settle, we get used to that abuse, we get used to that trauma, and we settle, and we think that that's all there is. We're afraid to break out of that, because we're afraid that no one else will ever love us. We stopped believing in the fairy tale long ago, because we were told the fairy tale doesn't exist. We were told you can't follow your heart, you have to follow society. You have to follow somebody your parents are going to approve of. You have to follow somebody, or find somebody who's going to look after you, who's going to provide for you, who's going to protect you. So don't choose with your heart, choose with your head. And that's what we've been told. And this leads to years of, you know, you might be happy at the start, but this will eventually lead to resentment, because that person wasn't your person. You can't actually, like, the way I see it is, you can't force another person's person to love you, and you can't. You know what I mean? I believe there is a perfect match for everyone. And if you try and force someone who's not your match to love you, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. No matter how much you try and push them and mold them into your box, they're not going to. It's not going to work. There's going to be resentment. There's going to be hatred. It's just not going to work. But that's the thing. We're in such a rush to be loved and to find that happy ever after, because we're told if we don't do it before you're 30, you're fucked, like, that we settle. We're like, Jesus, you know, we can't wait forever. We have to get married now, so therefore we have to get married to the person that's there, or somebody that looks good on paper. But the secret is to find yourself first. And like, you know, there's a beautiful the Galantis song, You and I, there's a start of it, like, it says, or Journal, whatever, it says, finding love is like, I can't remember, but finding love is like finding yourself. Once you find yourself, you find love, and that's it. Once you find yourself, you find love. But if you settle too quickly for love, you're not going to find yourself, and you're definitely not going to find yourself within a relationship that's not your relationship. You know, a true relationship is going to help you grow. It's actually going to help you discover who you are. But find yourself before you settle. Before you settle so that you don't settle. That's the secret. Take that time to be on your own. Take that time to rediscover who you truly are. Take this time to ask yourself, what is your idea of love? You know, do you want superficial, societal, mediocre love? Or do you want that fairy tale? Do you want divine love? Because we can all have divine love, but we're not. This is the thing with humans, where we've got this thing of instant gratification. We want something yesterday. But you can get something yesterday and it mightn't be as good as what you expected it to be. But when we delay gratification, when we take the time to discover what we truly want, then it's going to taste better. It's going to be better. Do you get me? If we don't settle for what we think we want and wait for what we actually do want, we're going to be so much more satisfied. We're going to be so much more fulfilled. So take that time. Ask yourself, what is your idea of love? What do you believe love looks like? Look at your past. Look at your childhood. Look at your previous relationships. Is that what you want love to look like? Or do you believe that there is somebody out there for you? Do you want that? Because you can have anything you want if you don't rush it. If you don't force something that isn't for you. Stop trying to mold people into your world and find the person who fits perfectly into your world. Find the puzzle piece that fits to your puzzle piece. Because this can be had. This is real. Romance is real. The fairy tale is real. Your divine counterpart is real, and they're out there waiting for you. But they can't find you until you find yourself. And that's the thing. If you're lost in this world of superficiality, if you're lost in this 3D lack mentality, if you're lost in this world of seeing love as what it used to be and settling for what looks good on paper, you're never going to find yourself, because you're following a system that isn't true to you. You're following something that isn't real. And that's like, I when I started my spiritual awakening, and this can come to all aspects of any part of your life when you're going through awakening, is it making me happy, or is it making society happy? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you in this relationship, or are you pursuing this person because they look good on paper? Because, you know, your mother will approve, your father will approve. Are you actually choosing someone to replace your parents because of what you've learned, this belief that you've learned? Are you seeking love, or are you seeking security? Are you seeking that fairy tale, or are you seeking to settle? And the only way you're ever going to really understand that is if you sit back and find yourself and figure out who you are first. Find out who you are at your core and ask yourself, are those beliefs yours? Is this what you really want? Or do you want to wait? Do you want to wait to find that love within yourself? Because that's where it starts. When we're settling, when we're in such a rush to find that happy ever after, we're not choosing with our heart, we're choosing with our head. And we're not going to be satisfied, but we're not going to get what we really want. And we're never really going to, we're continuously seeking it. That's the thing. We're in such a rush to get it. That's a desperation. We're seeking outside ourselves for validation. We're seeking outside ourselves for love. That's not where it starts. The love starts from within. That unconditional love starts from within. And when we don't love ourselves fully, we're not going to attract somebody who's going to appreciate us fully either. We're going to attract the partner that might look good on paper. And, you know, this is not, like, you know, it's so superficial. to marry someone based on their appearance, to marry someone based on their career, marry someone based on their family or their upbringing. Because, that'll be okay, that looks good, I'll bring that home to mommy. But a lot of the time, somebody matches you on paper, they're toxic or they're a mismatch. Do you know what I mean? They're not good. They don't have the same core beliefs or the same core values that you do. Now, isn't it better to choose for yourself rather than choose for your parents or choose for society? Isn't it better to choose somebody who matches you at a core level rather than what they look like on the outside? Would you not be more happier with somebody who is you inside and out rather than, as I said, what they look like? It doesn't matter what they do for a living. It doesn't matter how they grow up. It only matters on who they are within, and are they a divine match for you? Real love should be based on interdependence and equality, whereas superficial or societal love is based on codependency, on neediness, on desperation. That's not love. That's being in love with the idea of being in love. And that's the thing, when I've stayed stuck in my unhappy relationships, when I broke out of them, I realised that I was so desperate to be loved. I felt that I needed to be provided for. I needed to be minded. I forgot how to do things for myself, and I felt that I needed to be looked after. And that's why I went for, that I was in 2 long-term relationships in my 20s. Because I felt that I needed to be loved. I needed to be provided for. I needed to be taken care of. But when I realised I can take care of myself, that's when things transformed for me. And I realised that I didn't have to settle anymore. That I could wait for that fairy tale. And that's what I intend to do. I found that love within myself, so I'm not desperately seeking outside myself for it. So I will not settle for mediocre. I will not settle for somebody who's not my match. And it's that simple. I'm not going to try and mold somebody into my world. I'm not going to be unhappy in a relationship just to be in a relationship. We need to get good at being on our own. Don't be afraid to take that time to find yourself first and to find what you really want in love. To discover that true love can be found and that you don't have to settle. This is the beauty of it. This is the beauty of spending that time alone and discovering who you are so that you can discover what you really want in a relationship. So don't settle. Don't be in such a rush to get to the end line, because when you get there too quickly, you're going to miss a lot of things along the way. So take that time to be on your own. Take that time to discover who you truly are, and take that time to believe in love again. You don't have to settle. Your divine counterpart is out there for you. They're waiting for you to find yourself. And once you do find yourself, and once you do love yourself, they will find you as well. But if you rush into a relationship that's not for you and you settle, you're never going to find yourself fully, and your divine counterpart will never find you either. So trust that you have a perfect match. Trust that your one and only is out there for you. But you need to discover that within yourself first. Don't seek outside yourself for superficial love. Don't settle for anything less than you deserve. Don't follow the societal route and follow what's in your heart. Choose with your heart and not your head. Choose that love within yourself first. Discover who you truly are. And then you will be able to find your divine counterpart, because they will be able to find you. Trust that you don't have to settle. Your fairy tale is waiting for you. So thank you so much for listening, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you would like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you on your path.